it's Jolie Gabrielle again. Thank you so much for joining me. And today I would just like to talk about anger. Anger is a spiritually and emotionally debilitating emotion to have. It's good in some ways if you can use it as fuel, right? If our anger fuels us, a righteous anger to get us moving towards justice, our goals, freedom, financial prosperity, liberation, and all those things, anger is definitely a major component to help us. However, for many of us, anger is a block. It really gets in the way of us having relationships with ourselves, having relationships with others, and moving out into the world with joy and usefulness. Anger can really block any type of relationship. It's truly can be a toxic emotion to have, and especially if you are using it for other people or to express yourself to others. Now, anger usually is accompanied with loud noises like yelling, gesticulations, movements that seem to be aggressive. Now, those of you that can be angry and communicate with a person like this, that's no better because that could be even worse because you're actually not showing anger in a way that is normal. The body perceives it sort of as a violent emotion. So then you can let that emotion out of you by expressing the anger with that kind of energy. However, people, they don't like that. But when you start whispering at people in your anger, that's giving diabolical. So you might want to take a look at that and go someplace else, deal with that anger, and then come back and speak to that person from a place of neutrality for all of you diabolical, whispering, angry people. However, if you are kind of the normal angry, which is yelling, screaming, or being aggressive and assertive in some way, I want you to understand that these experiences stay in the body. Anger is really good at allowing you to contract and get angry. And then your cells open, muscles, all of that, and boom, the experience now is locked. I know because I'm a person who has issues with the bones. And I think that's one of the places anger really likes to dwell is in your bones. You think of arthritis, it's inflammation. What is inflammation? It's anger. You think of anything that is bubbling up, even a bone spur, a callus, these things, when the bones start moving and creating other things on them, this is not good. And I know there's science and calcification and all that. Yes, all of that is true. Please, by all means, see your doctor. Always see your therapist. Always see your professional. But you have your own work to do to deal with that anger. Your therapist can give you a comprehensive program, give you some steps. Doctor can give you some medication. But once the medication has worn off, once the high from that session has worn off, what do you do with your anger? Is there anything that you can do? We can work it out. That is true. A lot of working out, jogging, anything, hitting things, axe throwing. These are all appropriate ways in which to get your anger out. Taking it out on animals, plants, and people, not okay. Now, one of the ways in which I was able to get rid of some of my anger was I was doing Ho'oponopono, which is such a powerful means of transforming your energy or our energy. And it is when you just close your eyes, you're looking at yourself or the person, you see them in your mind's eye, and you just repeat over and over and over again, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And you keep saying this and saying this and saying this until you get a reaction or an emotion even. Now, you don't have to, but for me, I would just sit there with the Ho'oponopono until I got an emotional purging or reaction, whether it be crying, laughing. This is what you kind of want to get to, because what it does is it allows the body to open up and release. Now, I was ho'oponoponoing for a long time, but my anger was still in the cells. And be honest, I still have anger. Obviously, because I believe that when my anger has been released, the past anger, I won't have some of these issues that I have anymore. You know, the anger will move itself out of my body, out of my bones, and out of my cells. But how do I do that? Now, one of the ways I found was very helpful for me was I turned the ho'oponopono on its head. And it was called Fumofo'Oponopono. And I would go into nature somewhere no one was. A lot of people like to do it in their pillow or in the car, but the Fumofo'Oponopono is an anger exercise that you do out loud. You go in nature, you go someplace quiet or where you know nobody's going to hear you. And you're going to see yourself or this person or whoever. And you got to specifically go back to that moment of anger. And when you see that person in that moment of anger in your mind's eye, and you feel that moment of anger, you're going to tell them, F you, mofo, F you, mofo, F you, mofo. And you say this, and you see this person, and you say this, and you say this, and you get that anger, and you get that anger out, and you just start yelling, you start screaming, you want to say, F you, mofo, F you, mofo, and you just keep saying it and saying it and saying it until you realize it's absurd and you get to the point where you are laughing. Because you realize by telling someone F off or F you, mofo, it's very childish, in a lot of ways, unless you're in danger. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not making light of dangerous situations. However, if you need to get this anger out of your cells, we ain't doing no kumbayaing, and you can pull energy out of chakras, you can pray, you can do a lot of stuff. I'm not saying they're not effective, but sometimes when you're feeling a primal anger, and every time that you think of this person or this experience, you get triggered, and neutrality is so far away. You got to fight fire with fire. And so for me, and my friend asked me, Pratesh, she asked me, do you really do that? Because I actually did a demonstration of the Fumofo'Oponopono on Rumble. I mean, I just let it all out and the words and everything. Like I was saying full blown. Well, Rumble decided that, Jolie, I don't think you're fit for our platform. So I had to kind of learn that lesson and I had to leave. But I was not being mean. I was actually demonstrating this very powerful meditation. I cannot do that. I will not do that because it's not wise to do so on YouTube. And also, I'm probably already a meme or a GIF or whatever. And I just don't think I want to be that too much anymore in that way. So you sit down, like I said, you want to ground your energy. You want to do all the work, clean off your grounding cord, pull in your aura layer, higher self above you, astral body snapped in. You're going to breathe. You're going to really go back to that space of when you were really angry or abused, whatever happened to you. You're going to see them in your eye. And you're going to let it rip. You're going to yell. You're going to scream these words, F you, mofo, F you, mofo. You're going to say that until you start laughing. You're going to wailing and gnashing of teeth until you start crying or laughing. Crying to laughing would be the best. And once you do that, you're probably going to be exhausted. You're going to be in a very good mood. And trust me, that anger will have gone down your grounding cord. And then you fill up with gold light and let go of that. Let go of those experiences that anger you. Because anger, let me tell you, you talk about people say this and that, but anger really, unless it is utilized and brought out of you in some way, purged, it is a disease-causing emotion. And it will really have you out here just stuck, like frozen elbow, You need to work on your anger. Frozen shoulder. This was a shoulder. Frozen shoulder, work on your anger. Frozen elbow, same thing. I am right next to you in lockstep. I've seen myself go from A to Z, and I've been able to use my chakra healing to do that. But at some point, I had to deal with that anger by meeting it at its level. And that was me saying, hey, the beauty is when you see this person, let's say you see them again in person at some point. You can go, hey, what's up? Now neutrality can come over you. Maybe that's a little too much. You don't want to be all rah with them. But at least you won't be triggered as much. At least you can act in a mature manner towards that person. So I'm telling you, this is truly an effective exercise if you use it in those moments, especially real time. You're pissed, you're mad at something, you can't let it go. You keep thinking about it. It just will not leave you. Fumofo'Oponopono. I'm telling you, it works for you. It will work for you. You go out in nature and you scream at the trees. They can take it. Mother Earth can take it. Scream at the ocean. All of these things in nature is there to just love you and take in your anger. Us humans, it's much more difficult. And unless it is an emergency situation, your anger is best dealt with personally, with you, because it really, like I said, gets in the way. So I thank you so much for joining me. I hope you will, in times of anger, just say, F you, mofo. F you, mofo. And you get rid of that energy.